Men, strength isn't just about physical power or financial success. True strength includes emotional resilience, psychological boundaries, an unshakable sense of self. And that's exactly what certain women target for destruction. The most dangerous women don't fear strong men. They see them as challenges to break down, piece by piece, using sophisticated psychological weapons that work precisely because you're strong. Your confidence becomes arrogance she needs to humble. Your boundaries become rigidity she needs to soften. Your independence becomes distance she needs to close. Today, we're exposing 6 psychological weapons women use specifically to break strong men. And by understanding these tactics, you'll never fall victim to them. Before we dive in, hit subscribe, smash that like button, and hit the hype by dropping a comment if you've ever felt yourself changing in a relationship and realized later you were being broken down rather than building up. Your story might save another strong man from the same fate. Weapon 1. Strategic isolation, cutting you off from your power base. The first weapon used against strong men is isolation, cutting them off from everything that reinforces their strength. Friends who remind them who they are, family who support them, hobbies that give fulfillment, mentors who offer perspective, all quietly become targets. Isolation works because it's gradual and disguised as love or practicality. She doesn't demand you abandon people outright. She creates friction until maintaining those bonds feels exhausting. She sulks when you go out, starts fights when you return, or claims she feels neglected. Over time, you choose isolation to avoid conflict, unaware it's engineered. She undermines your relationships. They're bad influences. Your family doesn't care. They don't understand you like I do. She schedules conflicts, creates crises, and makes you prove love by choosing her. Each choice separates you further. Eventually, she becomes your only source of validation. Your world shrinks until she's the center. You call it growing apart, but it's deliberate. Strong men draw power from connection. By cutting that off, she breaks your network, your identity, and your resistance. When you're isolated, you're easier to control, easier to manipulate, and easier to break, because there's no one left to remind you who you were before her. Weapon 2. Intermittent reinforcement, addiction through unpredictability. This weapon creates psychological addiction through unpredictable alternation between incredible highs and devastating lows. The relationship becomes slot machine, where sometimes you hit jackpot of her love, approval, and affection, and sometimes you lose everything to her coldness, criticism, and rejection. The unpredictability creates obsessive focus on figuring out how to trigger the good periods and avoid the bad ones, which gives her control over your entire emotional state and makes you addicted to the relationship despite it destroying you. The weapon works specifically on strong men because strength often includes emotional resilience and problem-solving orientation. You don't give up easily. You work to fix problems. You believe effort produces results. These traits make you vulnerable to intermittent reinforcement because you'll keep trying to solve the puzzle of what triggers her positive versus negative responses, not recognizing that the unpredictability is deliberately maintained to control you. Notice the pattern of extreme ups and downs. Are there periods where she's incredibly loving, affectionate, and everything you hoped for, followed by periods where she's cold, distant, or cruel? If the relationship feels like emotional roller coaster rather than stable partnership, intermittent reinforcement is being deployed against you. Pay attention to whether you can predict what triggers the shifts. Have you identified clear patterns where certain behaviors reliably produce positive or negative responses? Or does she seem to reward and punish the same behaviors unpredictably, keeping you constantly confused about what she actually wants? The unpredictability is the point. It keeps you focused on her and trying to please her. Watch whether the positive periods seem timed strategically. Does intense love and affection appear right when you're questioning the relationship, considering leaving, or establishing boundaries? If love bombing consistently coincides with you pulling away, it's being deployed strategically to reel you back in, not emerging organically. Listen to how she explains the shifts in her behavior. Does she acknowledge them and take responsibility? Or does she blame you for causing both the good and bad periods, making you believe you control her responses through your behavior? This attribution makes you obsessed with figuring out the right formula to maintain positive treatment. Notice whether you're developing obsessive behaviors around managing her mood. Do you constantly monitor her emotional state? Do you analyze everything you say and do for potential to upset her? Have you become hypervigilant about avoiding triggers? This obsessive focus is exactly what intermittent reinforcement creates. Check whether the highs are high enough to make the lows seem worth enduring. During good periods, is the relationship so perfect that you believe this is what it could always be if you just figured out how to maintain it? This hope that you can unlock permanent good treatment keeps you trapped in cycle of intermittent abuse. Watch whether you're trauma-bonded, unable to leave, despite recognizing the relationship is harmful. Do you feel addicted to her, despite knowing logically you should leave? Do you experience withdrawal symptoms when apart? Do you keep going back despite promising yourself you won't? These are signs of addiction created through intermittent reinforcement. Listen to advice from others about the relationship. Do friends and family express concern about how much the relationship affects you emotionally? Do they see patterns you're blind to because you're focused on chasing the highs? Outside perspective often recognizes addiction that you're too close to see. The psychological mechanism is variable ratio reinforcement schedule, the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. When rewards come unpredictably, humans develop compulsive behavior trying to trigger the reward. You become addicted to her approval because you never know when you'll get it, which makes you constantly work for it. The unpredictability creates stronger addiction than consistent reward ever could. The long-term impact is complete emotional destabilization and addiction to the person breaking you. Your baseline emotional state disappears because your emotions are entirely determined by which version of her you're experiencing. You lose your strength's emotional stability because she's made your feelings dependent on her unpredictable responses. You can't leave, despite wanting to, because you're addicted to those high periods and convinced that if you just do the right thing, you can make them permanent. Your strength becomes weakness as you obsessively pursue solution to puzzle that has no solution because the unpredictability is the weapon, not a problem to solve. Weapon 3, systematic emasculation, attacking your core identity. This weapon targets your masculine identity specifically. She systematically attacks traits associated with your masculinity, your strength, your capability, your confidence, your leadership, your sexuality. Through constant criticism, mockery, unfavorable comparisons, and questioning of your adequacy as a man. The goal is destroying your confidence in your masculine identity, making you feel inadequate, and creating desperate need to prove your manhood, which gives her power over your sense of self. The weapon works on strong men because masculine identity is often a core component of how you see yourself. Your strength, capability, and confidence are tied to your sense of being a man. By attacking this identity, she strikes at your psychological foundation, and because men are socialized not to appear vulnerable or bothered by emasculation, you suffer in silence, which allows the attack to continue and intensify. Notice how she talks about your masculinity. Does she respect and appreciate your masculine traits? Or does she mock them, suggest they're toxic or primitive, compare you unfavorably to other men, or imply you're not really a man? This consistent attack on masculine identity erodes your confidence in who you are. Pay attention to comparisons she makes. Does she reference ex-partners who are more masculine in some way? Does she point out other men who are stronger, more successful, more confident, better providers, better in bed? These comparisons aren't observations. They're attacks designed to make you feel inadequate and desperate to prove yourself. Watch how she responds to your displays of masculine capability. When you solve problems, demonstrate strength, show confidence, or take leadership, does she appreciate it? Or does she minimize your accomplishments, mock your attempts, or find ways to suggest you're actually inadequate? Inability to acknowledge your competence is designed to undermine your confidence. Listen to how she talks about sex and your sexual performance. Does she express satisfaction, or does she make comments that suggest inadequacy, joke about size or stamina, refuse intimacy, then blame your attractiveness, or compare you to other partners? Sexual emasculation is particularly damaging because sexuality is often core to masculine identity. Notice whether she undermines you in front of others, particularly other men. Does she make jokes about your inadequacy publicly? Does she contradict or correct you in social settings? Does she share embarrassing information? Public emasculation is especially powerful because it damages your status in front of your peer group. Check whether you're developing performance anxiety across multiple domains. Are you second-guessing your decisions, hesitating to take action, worried about failing, overcompensating to prove yourself? These anxieties emerge when someone has systematically attacked your confidence in your own capability. Watch whether she positions herself as more capable than you in traditionally masculine domains. Does she make decisions because you allegedly can't? Does she handle situations because you're supposedly inadequate? Does she take over traditionally male roles while criticizing how you performed them? This reversal undermines your sense of masculine competence. Listen to whether she ever builds you up or only tears you down. Can she complement your strength, your capability, your masculinity? Or is feedback always criticism disguised as concern or help? Absence of positive reinforcement while constantly highlighting inadequacy is systematic attack on identity. The psychological mechanism is attacking core identity to create desperate need for validation. By making you doubt your adequacy as a man, she creates vulnerability where your strength once existed. You become focused on proving your masculinity, which makes you controllable through her power to validate or deny your manhood. Your independent confidence is replaced with desperate need for her approval. The long-term impact is destroyed confidence in your masculine identity and development of deep insecurities you never had before. You question your adequacy in ways you never did previously. You feel compelled to constantly prove yourself. You become dependent on her validation to feel like a man because she's systematically destroyed your internal sense of masculine adequacy. The strong, confident man you were becomes insecure, uncertain version, constantly seeking approval to feel adequate. Your core identity is attacked until it's no longer stable foundation, but source of anxiety and shame. Weapon 4. Crazy making. Deliberate provocation and reaction punishment. This weapon is emotional provocation followed by punishment. She pushes you to react, then condemns you for reacting. She violates boundaries, needles sensitive spots, and creates situations engineered to spark anger or pain. When you finally respond, she flips the script. You're the aggressor, she's the calm victim. It works on strong men because strength includes emotional discipline. You pride yourself on control, so when someone drives you to lose it, you blame yourself instead of recognizing the manipulation. She exploits that standard until you see your natural reactions as personal failure. She provokes, you react, she reframes. Her actions vanish from focus, while your reaction becomes the story. To others, she describes only your outburst, not her triggers, painting you as unstable. Over time, you start policing your every emotion, fearing you really are too angry or too sensitive. Each cycle erodes your confidence. You doubt your perception, distrust your feelings, and apologize for emotions she deliberately created. The goal is reactive abuse, making you look like the problem while she maintains the image of calm reason. The long-term effect is internalized guilt and loss of self-trust. You start believing you're unstable, when in truth you were provoked into instability by design. Your strength, emotional control, becomes her favorite weapon because she can break it and make you blame yourself for the damage. Weapon 5, future faking and goal obstruction. This weapon begins with fake support and ends with strategic sabotage. At first, she champions your ambitions, praising your drive, calling you inspiring, making you feel seen. Once you're emotionally invested, her enthusiasm turns into subtle obstruction. She still claims to support you, but her actions consistently pull you off course. When you make progress, she creates drama or crises that demand your attention. When you need focus, she interrupts. When you succeed, she minimizes or spoils it. The timing is never random. It's engineered to keep you dependent, distracted, and exhausted. She reframes ambition as neglect. You're always working. You care more about that project than me. Over time, you begin choosing peace over progress, shrinking your goals to avoid conflict. She'll call it balance. It's control. She may subtly erode belief in your dreams, calling them unrealistic, selfish, or risky, until you internalize her limits as your own. The more you stall, the more dependent you become on her approval and stability. The psychology is simple: control through containment. By sabotaging your independence while appearing supportive, she ensures you never reach the self-sufficiency that would let you leave. The result is quiet ruin. Abandoned ambitions, rationalized mediocrity, and the belief that you chose it. Your strength, once fueled by purpose and vision, is neutralized, not by open opposition, but by slow, calculated suffocation, disguised as love. Weapon 6. Gaslighting reality and character. Assassination. This weapon combines gaslighting and character assassination, tactics that make you doubt reality and destroy your sense of being a good person. She denies what happened, rewrites events to make herself the victim, and portrays you as the abuser until you begin questioning your memory, judgment, and morality. It works because strong men rely on a clear identity and moral compass. By attacking those, she collapses the foundation of your strength. Once you doubt who you are and what's real, you're no longer grounded. She denies obvious facts, invents conversations, and twists meaning to make you seem cruel or unstable. When you set boundaries, you're abusive. When you're honest, you're manipulative. She tells others false stories, creating a public image where she's innocent and you're dangerous, cutting you off from social support. Over time, you start to doubt yourself, wondering if you really are the problem, replaying events to check what's true, defending your basic character to people who once trusted you. Anxiety, confusion, and guilt follow. The mechanism is simple: destroy your ability to trust your own perception. Once she controls your sense of reality and morality, she controls you. The result is identity collapse. A strong man reduced to self-doubt, dependent on her version of events, and seeking her approval to feel like a decent person. Recovery requires rebuilding trust in your own memory, judgment, and worth. Reclaiming the self she systematically dismantled.